This episode of Janie's Way is brought to you by Unique Marketer, where passionate marketing delivers powerful results. Welcome and hopefully welcome back to Janie's Way. In this episode, I sit down with Georgianne McConnell, entrepreneur and money coach, and Candace McKeem, entrepreneur and motivational speaker, to explore how intuition, mindset, and manifestation shape success. We uncover powerful insights on financial freedom, overcoming fear, and aligning with abundance. If you're ready to break through limiting beliefs and attract more wealth, this episode is for you. Welcome back to Janie's Way, where magic happens, where we talk about marketing, mindset, and money. I am so excited to welcome back my friend and, of course, her friend and my friend now. Here comes Georgianne McConnell.
Yay!
And yes, and Candace McKeem.
Hello.
They both entrepreneurs. They both entrepreneurs. They both book authors. They both very spiritual, connected to the energy. And of course, they both speakers. And I cannot wait to have this conversation where Georgianne focus more on abundance and money, where my new friend Candace is focusing more on intuition and manifestation. I can't wait for this conversation.
Gonna be good. Thanks for having us.
So here, thank you for being here. Here's $1 million question. You ready, both of you?
Yeah.
Yes.
Let's start with Candace, because she's my new friend. Candace, people want to have more money. And how can we manifest more money without bringing resistance, without saying it's taking too long? And what is taking too long? Can you kind of start this conversation with us?
Yeah. So my process is manifestation magic. And I talk about the first thing really is getting clear, and clarity is number one. So I feel like most women don't know what they want. They know what they don't want. They're really, really clear on what they don't want, but they're not super, super clear on what they do want. So the first part of manifesting, and manifesting more money specifically, is about clarity. And, we can say financial freedom. I hear this all the time. I want to manifest more financial freedom. But why? Like, what does that mean? So we go under the layer. So so I want financial freedom. And then maybe you have a number that you want. And then you just keep going down underneath the layers to get to what it is that you really, really deeply desire.
That's great. Sometimes people don't even know what they desire or how much. What is financial freedom to me? It's not necessarily freedom to you or to Georgianne. How do you see that question, Georgianne? What does that mean to you? How do you acquire that abundance so quickly?
Right. I agree with Candace too. And I love, you just have the best questions, Jenny. So the way I look at it too is very similar. I as well believe in clarity. As a financial advisor in my previous life, that was one of the pieces that I really worked with the women. Most of my clients were women, is how to identify, like Candace had said, right? They want financial freedom, and helping them to identify what that dollar amount is, and then help them with some practical steps on how they then achieve it. I'm very big on vision boards and on or the online vision boards, right, that you can make now, and a way of putting those things that they desire in front of them all day long, right? So that their mind is looking at it, and the subconscious mind is trying to figure out how to make that happen.
That's so good. So do you feel like seeing it every day? Some people put it like above their bed. Some put it on their little sticky on their mirrors. Candace, what do you recommend?
Well, I talk about visualizing a lot in my process as well, but also I differentiate visualizing with visioning. And so
That's interesting.
visualizing is visualizing the house, visualizing the car, visualizing the bank account, visualizing the ideal relationship, the body you want. So being able to visualize it, putting it onto a vision board, I keep it close to my desk so I can see it often, like right on the wall by my desk. And then there's visioning. And visioning is where you know you're here for something more. You know you're here for greatness, but you don't really know what that looks like. You know you're here maybe to speak on stages. You know you're here to get your message out there. You know like I said, you know you're here for something more, but you don't know exactly what it looks like. So I like to differentiate the two. So because a lot of times, again, people, especially women, don't know what they want. And they get into this panic thinking, well, I can't manifest because I'm not doing it right because I can't visualize the beach house and the dream cars and all the stuff. And they're forcing it. But they know they're here for something more. And I like to talk about Oprah. Like there's no way that Oprah as a little girl could visualize her life now. So, but she knew she was here for something more. And so connecting to that something more, connecting to that true purpose really is, I use affirmations, I use prayer, I put it out there, Spirit, guide me on my path, guide me to my true purpose. And I use it that way. So I do both, the visualizing and the visioning.
Oh, wow. That's the best way I've heard it described. There's a difference. And how do you even take that first step to start uncovering what you're here for? I guess we can. Do you wanna keep going, and then we'll have Georgianne come in with her answers?
Yeah. So great question. So I feel like it's an inner knowing. It's our intuition. I believe our intuition is our soul speaking to us. And our soul wants us to get out there. Our soul wants us to shine bright and to really make an impact and a difference in the world. And so it's tapping into that part of us. And our soul is going to take us out of our comfort zone. Let's face it. That's the biggest thing. And it's our ego that wants to keep us safe. It's our ego that wants to keep us on the couch watching Netflix, right? It's our soul that wants us to get out there and to shine really, really big. So did that answer your question?
Yeah, it did. It sounds to me the way you're saying it, if we feel uncomfortable, that means it's our soul striving for something bigger. It not get scared or overwhelmed. It's realizing, having that awareness. Oh, it's my soul calling me to do something bigger and to get outside of our comfort zone. That means enter the calling of our soul. Would you just say that fair in clarification?
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
This episode is brought to you by Unique Marketer. Now imagine your business leading, not following. Meet Unique Marketer. We don't shout or whisper in a way that brings everyone to listen. Unique Marketer changes the game with connection marketing. We turn our audiences into communities, eager for your story. Insightful tools guide us, not just an attitude of sales. Our approach: connect, resonate, transform. If you're interested in learning more, Unique Marketer gives Jenny's Way listeners a free digital analysis and strategy goal. Use Listen Up with the link in show notes. Lead with Unique Marketer, where we help your business shine.
And there's that inner knowing that we have. We know that we're here for something more. And the thing is that I believe too is that often what our gifts are, our zone of genius, our true purpose, whatever you want to call it, that we take it for granted a lot of times. We think because it comes so easy to us, we think, oh, it must come this easy to everybody. One time I was working with a client and she's an artist and she was phenomenal. And she started getting more and more work. And she's like, I don't get it. Like, it's not like my artwork is that detailed and stuff. It's kind of simplistic. And people were paying her money to paint on buildings and to do like big murals. And she said, I don't get it. And she,
Hmm.
didn't value her gifts.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Georgianne, how do we deal with that uncomfortable feeling when the soul is calling her for a purpose and mission? We get that itch. What would you do? What would they need to do to start with in the morning to help them continue on that path?
Yes, I love that. And I'm just going to comment that
Of course.
you invited both of us, and I'm like nodding because she talks about visioning, and part of my process is true north visioning. So absolutely, we're all in alignment with how we might do things. Well, we do things a little different, but as always, you selected good people to be on your podcast.
Well, yes, of course. What did I say? Candace, Georgianne plus Jenny Flair will create magic for our listeners.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah. So, so to add on to that, as far as what I encourage people to do at the start of their day, I believe in gratitude. Right. So I have a gratitude meditation that I listen to. It's just 15 minutes long. I listen to that every morning, and I also do some inner voice activations.
I love
Right.
those.
So they're also known as affirmations, but I like to call them inner voice activations because for me, that's a different mode, right? So it's really shifting what my inner voice is saying to myself. So if I may, let me just share a few of them.
Absolutely.
Okay. So I am generous with my money. I am worthy of the wealth I desire. I am grateful for the money I have. And here's one that I really love to help people remember that they need to receive. But I am a great giver and an excellent receiver. Money is drawn to me, and let's say money is openly flowing into my life.
That's awesome. I want to make a little comment on one of them.
Yes.
I believe as women especially, sometimes we forget that receiving is an important part of the formula. As we all used to giving.
Yeah.
We kind of have to tune in the energy of receiving. So I love that. All of them were great, but that's the one that kind of struck for me to emphasize because it's so important to value ourselves and being able to get in the energy of receiving. And I feel like that's one of the things that especially female entrepreneurs are struggling. They don't feel like they can charge money.
That's
and
right.
when they do charge, they undervalue their services. Can you start with that, and then we'll go to Candace since she started the last one first.
Absolutely. Yes, that's exactly what some of my clients do, just like Candace's friend, who's the artist, right? Devaluing or not thinking her work is valuable enough. But for some of the people that I work with and that I meet, it is that they feel, especially in the spiritual or metaphysical world or holistic world, whatever words you want to use, is they started their business because they were so passionate about yoga or about energy work or about being a Reiki master or, a life coach, whatever it is. And they don't want to charge people, right? So they've got that disconnect on receiving the money that we give. And one of the things I like to say, so I'm a little tongue-tied at the moment, but one of the things I like to say is if you as a entrepreneur have a gift, let's say your gift is yoga, then if you give your gift to me, then you need to receive my gift to you, which is usually in the form of money.
Oh,
right?
that's so well put.
Yeah. So it's me giving and you receiving the same as you giving and me receiving, right? It's just a different currency, or right, or different service.
Wow. Everybody, if you can just get that taking away from this interview, that's already gold. You're giving your gift, so you need to open the flow of receiving a gift back from the person you're giving, and that in the value form of money. Money is just a tool.
That's right.
I love it. What is your take, Candace?
Yeah, I think of money as energy, right? So if I'm giving my energy to you, teaching a yoga class, then you're giving your energy back to me and it's just a form of money. The one thing I like to think of it is you're plugging, like there's infinite resources, right? There's infinite amount of abundance. And so you're not taking away from anybody by receiving. So a lot of us, especially again, as women, we tend to feel like, well, if I ask for too much, then other people are going to not have as much. They're not going to have what they need. And the truth is there is enough for all of us. And I believe that very strongly. And so it's just an exchange of energy. And so I like to tap into it, right? Like it's almost like plugging into it. You know, another word for money is currency. And right. So we're plugging into the wall, into the currency, the energy current. And so I love that analogy, or I love that visual of, oh yeah, we just have to plug in of that currency. And it's
I'm pretty sure both of you following Esther Hicks, as I discovered last time. I know a Georgianus. I'm pretty sure you do too. The way she describes it, if you wake up in the morning and you don't plug in, like what if you go use the vacuum and it's not plugged in? How far are you gonna go?
Yeah.
And we forget that we have to plug in, and that's where when you were describing it, it's reminding me. Oh, well, it makes total sense. If you don't plug into the current, then where are you going to get the energy?
Yeah,
so
currency.
That's currency.
Yeah.
So well said. But knowing one thing, but practicing is totally different. So with that said, people say, okay, easy for you to tell because you already been doing it for a long time. You figure out your way, you overcome your fears. But with all the uncertainties that have been recently in the world and economic and political, how do you stay positive? How do you continue to overcome your fears in your limited belief of scarcity? Let's go start with Candace.
What I believe is that our manifestations get stuck. They can get stuck in one area of our life. And it's a pattern, and it can become a pattern for like over and over again. And I feel like a lot of women, especially healers, like Georgianne was saying, like Reiki masters, yoga instructors, healers, coaches, that they know that it's getting stuck. They can feel that it's getting stuck, but they don't know how to get it unstuck. And I like to use the analogy or the story of, say you're driving down the road and you're all of a sudden you see a field and there's horses running in the field, and you just get like an intuitive hit. I'm going to learn how to ride horses. And you go, oh, I would love to learn how to ride horses. And then it drops down if we're talking the chakra system, it would go down to the root chakra. And it would be like, but what would my family think of me riding a horse? And you know what? I think they cost a lot of money to ride horses and to board a horse and to do all of that. So it can get stuck in that. It can get stuck in the visualizing or the visioning of it. It can get stuck in, well, what about the finances? It's going to be, all of that. Then the vision, it might come up to, the heart chakra, and you go, oh, but it would feel so beautiful, like the wind in my hair to ride a horse. It would feel so good, and having that connection. And then it goes to the solar plexus, and it's like the fear, right? Oh, but those horses, they're big. That's scary to get on a horse, right? Like that would be scary. And then you go into the second chakra, and you start to get a little bit more passionate about the idea, and you get creative, and you get, okay, but the guy down the road, I know he has an acreage, and maybe he bored my horse for me. And then all of a sudden you start to speak about it. and you put it out there into the universe and you start to tell your family. And then your family goes, are you crazy? Those things are big. And it goes through their system, right? And so you can, with this story, it can get stuck in any of the areas. It can get stuck in visualizing it, in connecting to source energy. It can get stuck in, what will my family think about it? What will, how much is it going to cost? It can get stuck in the fear. So it can get stuck in any one of those areas. And so the first thing is to recognize, where am I holding myself back? And when I tell the story, a lot of people know instantly. When I'm talking to them, it's stuck in my root where I'm thinking about the financial part of it, or I'm afraid to tell my family what I'm doing, or, they know where it's getting stuck. And so I think that's the first thing, is really getting clarity on it and getting really clear. And then, yes, there's so much we can do to manifest: gratitude, journaling, affirmations, using visualizing, and doing all of the things. But what I've been noticing, or what I've been finding, is people feel like they're doing it wrong. Oh, I'm not doing my gratitude enough, or I'm not visualizing enough, or I'm not meditating enough. And that's not the truth. The truth is it's getting stuck in one of these areas, and it needs to get cleared out. It needs to be through it. I've been meditating since I was 12 years old. My parents were self-employed and stressed out, and they took our entire family to learn to meditate. And I know that's part of my process, is meditating, and I can tell people over and over and again to meditate, but, then people think they're doing it wrong. And the thing is, you are manifesting no matter what. Whatever your life looks like, you've manifested it. So,
believe it or not. Yeah, well, people sometimes feel like if I don't get what I want, I'm doing something wrong. But is it? Maybe you're not ready for it. Is it possible you're not ready for it?
Yeah. Not ready for it, or it's getting stuck in one of the areas, or you're not clear. Yeah.
How do you get it unstuck, Candace? How do you get it unstuck?
Well, I think the first thing is clarity, finding out what it is. Like, where is it getting stuck? Which part of the manifestation process is it getting stuck? Because what I feel is like we're co-creating with source energy, right? We're not, right? So is it getting stuck in our connection to source energy and the universal laws? Is it getting stuck, like I said, speaking about it? Is it getting stuck in our relationships? All of our dreams that we have, even manifesting more money, is going to affect other people. And it's going to, right? So how is it getting stuck there? What are some of the beliefs that we have around that? So it's just, it's different for everybody.
It sure is. Georgianne, can you talk about beliefs, and how would the people that are not practitioners, such as Reiki and other coaches, know that they feel stuck, and perhaps they don't have such a great awareness, but they need to take a different action and do something different? Can you reflect on that a bit?
Yeah, absolutely. I would love to. And I've worked with quite a few people that are stuck, right? And I'll use one lady as an example. Her name is Jennifer. We'll call her Jennifer.
But she Jennifer.
Yes, she had contacted me because she felt money blocks, right? I'm the money lady. So she was feeling blocked by her family's belief, right? So not necessarily, what she grew up with, her mom and her dad's story, right? And so we talked a lot about it, but I ended up giving her a meditation to do that I had recorded, right, to help her release her family's money blocks. Because, of course, we all end up taking over or taking on blocks and beliefs from our family, from our teachers, from other people that are in our early days, in our early life. And so I was able to give her that meditation for her to listen to on a daily basis, so that she could shift that belief into more of a positive, reframing it basically. And so I think that a lot of people, we all have money blocks, or we all have blocks of different kinds. Money is just one I work with. And so it is about clarity. I'm right there with Candace on that, and helping them to dive into what they really want, right? And that's when a mentor or a coach can help a lot, because we know the questions to ask, we'll listen, we can kind of guide them into their understanding of their desires.
Yeah, because like a coach can see your blind spots, because you can really see it for yourself. From everybody saying every coach has a coach. Yeah, because you can help other people, but you don't see your blind spots. So I'm glad you brought it up. I think this will be a great question for Candace. How do you fuel your passion into your dream? How do you continually keeping that passion alive and allow that to direct it to closer to your dream every day, every step of the way?
For me, it really is a connection to source and keeping that connection to source. So asking source for guidance, calling in my guides and angels, connecting with nature. I live in the woods, and so I outside in nature every single day. And meditating every day, doing all of the practices, right? My background is I had a yoga studio for 17 years. I am a yogini, right? And before that, I was a social worker, and I really took talk therapy and combined it with body, mind, spirit in a form of intuitive coaching and manifestation coaching. And so for me, it really is that continual connection to source and asking powerful questions. So often we ask questions like, why is this happening to me? Or, and those aren't powerful questions. Those are disempowering questions, right? But if we believe the universe has our back and the universe is conspiring to support us to live our purpose, true purpose, and to do what our soul wants to do in this lifetime, then then we need to keep connecting to source and asking powerful questions. So more like, what is my next step? How can I outcreate this problem? Right? Like, there's no problem that you can't solve. Every problem is solvable. Right. And so it's like, that's one of my main questions is, how can I outcreate this problem? Or when I need to be guided more, it's like, if I don't know what's available to me in, moving forward in my purpose, I keep asking, what is my next step? What is my next step? What is my next step? But that's the tricky part, because the next step is going to take you out of your comfort zone, like,
here we go.
Right. Like,
and then we freaking out.
Yeah. Right. Like I was like, I wrote my book. My book was coming out. I started my book tour, and then I got asked to do a TEDx talk. Well, everybody's like, yeah, that's amazing. You got asked to do a TEDx talk. Yeah, no, scariest thing I've ever done. I didn't even tell anybody. The way I got outed is somebody tagged me in a post on social media saying that they were doing that I was doing a TEDx talk and they were speaking at the same TEDx, right? And I'm like, wow, I was on my book tour.
Why'd you do that?
I know, right? And I met a woman. I was on my book tour and I met a woman, and she said to me, well, what's your team doing to get you ready for your TEDx talk? And I'm like, team? There's no team. It's just me. And so she said,
did you tell her you don't need a team? You have a book, and you've written a book. Intuition is your choice. You know what to do.
Well, actually, she said to me, she goes, well, I work at Cornell University, and that's what I do is help prepare people to do TEDx talks. And she said, I will help you. And I said, okay, great. So the universe is helping you. The universe is providing things for you, all the time. The trick is to jump in and to say yes, to say hell yes, right? That's the name of my podcast, Find Your Hell Yes, because that's the scary part. Yeah.
How did you overcome? Because that was scary. What you're saying, That's brilliant. Like, how did you overcome? Did you?
Well, I said yes.
Because you already have a processes in place. Like, what keeps you grounded? Is that you feel like that's what help you overcome?
I knew I was intuitively guided. I knew I was being guided by spirit to do it. And I said yes immediately. Like that was the first thing. The first thing is just to say yes. I remember the first time I got asked to speak on stage, and I had just gotten back from teaching a retreat. And so I was fine talking to groups, talking in workshops and teaching classes and stuff. But then I got asked to do an event on stage, and I said no. And then they said to me, the organizer said, okay, well, if you can't do it this year, we'll line you up for next year. And I'm like, oh man, okay, I'll do it. But I knew intuitively that I was supposed to do it. I knew deep down in my soul that I was supposed to do it. So the first thing is to say yes and then freak out.
On the freaking out, I know you're big on breathing. Show us how to do the breathing, like where you connect.
So this is something that grounds me, and it helps me to move through fear, because people who are doing these things aren't doing it without fear. They have fear, but they're doing it because they know they're here to do it, right? And I know that your listeners know their opportunities when opportunities come, they want to say yes, and so this is the power to do it. So what I like to do is I bring my arms out to the side and bring my arms all the way up to the sky. And as I do that, lifting your gaze up, bringing your palms together, and then bringing your hands down through center. So what it does for you is it really grounds you. It brings you into the present moment, and you're bringing in source energy. You're bringing in your guides to support you with it. So let's do it together. So bring your arms out to the side. And then inhale, lift your arms up. Lift your chin up, bring your hands together. And then on your exhalation, bring your hands down through center. Lower your chin down. And just bring your hands right to your heart center. Again, taking another couple slow breaths so that it really grounds you into the present moment. It brings some calm energy to you. And then you know you're supported. You know you're not
alone. That's so beautiful. Beautiful.
Yes. Thank you.
So beautiful. I felt the connection. Thank you.
Good. And it's so easy.
So easy.
It is. Would you recommend to do something like that before people walk on stage, since you were saying it was terrifying?
I do. I have to. I still get scared. And my TED Talk was a while ago, and my book tour and all of that. I still get very nervous. And so it's just a great way to ground. And I actually have my feet or my knees uncrossed so that your feet are grounded and your feet are on the floor so that you really get grounded. And I usually, before I go on stage, I take a moment. If I can, I'll go out to my car and get grounded and, focused, and then I'll go in.
Awesome. You connect.
I love that.
That's beautiful. I love it. Well, Georgianne, since we talk about books, you recently came up with the book too. You were part of the compilation book, and I want to congratulate you. Do you want to talk a little bit about your experience getting out of comfort zone and talk about that, and what tools you use to feel like you're doing what you're supposed to do?
Yes, thank you. I would love to. And we were talking about the goals and the sticky notes and the mirror, or I write things on my bathroom mirror. And so you guys can't see it, but behind my monitor, I have a big poster board, and the very top is a sticky note that says book. It's been on my list since I was a financial advisor. So it's been a long, long time. And last year at an event to become a speaker, I met a lady who then asked me to be part of this compilation book. And it is Triumphs of Transformation.
Love it.
Love it.
Inspiring stories of resilience and life change. And it was just released this week, actually, on 11/11. course, perfect day. And so it was such a magical, the universe guides us, as Candace says, guided me to do this. And my ego was no, because of the money, right? Because it costs to do that, for me to do that. But the experience was so magical. And the people, there's 30 different authors. And so the people that I've met through this whole project, they're just amazing, incredible men and women with different stories of diversity, or of resilience and challenges that they've had to overcome. My chapter is all about finding my self-worth and self-love, right? After my last divorce, and recognizing that I am enough exactly as I am, always have been enough, and just falling back in love with me, who I am and what I like to do. And it was just fabulous, right? To get to write this story and share it with other people, and just get the positive feedback from other women who felt conditioned in their relationships, or felt like they lost parts of themselves. And so it's just been wonderful. Thank you so much for letting me share that. But yeah, it's very exciting.
Congratulations.
What was the most important? Congratulations.
It's
a big,
see, when you see, it's a big deal. Number one, it took a lot of courage. You're like, say, who cares about my story, right? Sometimes, right? Who am I to be a book author? Or like, who will listen to what I have to say? But you realize, and that interesting. I went to the gym this morning, and I met somebody I haven't seen for 6 months, and I say, "Oh, how you doing?" And she said, "Do you remember the conversation that her sister passed away, and she was in a dark place, and you told me to listen to your podcast?" I was like, "Yeah." And what happened? I felt better after that. See, it's just, it's not because I need that external validation. I don't. Right. I know I'm on a mission and a purpose to inspire and empower, and I trust that whoever needs to hear the message will get to hear it, whether they're going to hear it today or on the next year, which is, we're almost close to that anyways. Yeah. But I'm just saying that's not important. The important part is that I'm on a mission to inspire and empower. And when I hear that, I'm like, oh, thank you. It's like we all hear it on our mission. Yeah. And if you don't come out as a safety box, like, every time, I've been doing it for more than a year now. We just celebrated 12-year anniversary doing podcasting. But like you, it was something on my, back of my mind. Oh, I want to start podcasting. It's like, it was several years before I actually started. Right. But if it's something there, I think if you guys can talk about this, if something there, and you don't have to do it right away, but if it's coming back, do you call it a calling of your soul? How do you call it? Because there's something that keep coming back. Like, how would you address that? What does that mean to you, ladies?
For me, I believe
I agree.
Your calling, right? It is your calling that you're here to do, and something that you're supposed to share with the world. I had that with, I created a deck of oracle cards, Yogini's Guide to Intuition oracle cards. And I would get into, like, I had a yoga studio for 17 years. And so, Georgiana, and I would get intuitive hits as to what the yoga postures meant on a spiritual level. And so I just started taking notes, and it was just this idea that I had. And then I never really went very far with it, but I just kept getting notes, and I would just take notes. And then one year I raised $20,000 for victims of sex trafficking in India. And so I raised the money in 9 months.
Oh, wow.
And
congratulations.
Thank you. That was huge. And then I got an intuitive hit 6 weeks before I was leaving to go to India, because I had raised the money. So then I was going to go to India to see the organizations where the money was going. And so 6 weeks before I left to go to India, I got the intuitive hit to let my studio go. And I followed that intuitive hit. And 2 days before I left to go to India, I handed over my keys to my studio. And so and people were like, what are you doing? Like, you love teaching yoga. You love your studio. It was a place to see clients and all of the things. But it was just a knowing that I had to do that. So I followed that guidance. And then what it did is, when I came back from India, it opened up the time and space. So I dug out my cards and I started writing them and editing them. And as I was doing that, I knew I had a book. And so the same thing is with Georgianne, like, then I wrote my book, right? And so that each chapter starts with the image, and then the divinatory part of what the yoga posture means on a spiritual level, and then a small chapter on how to bring it into your life. And yeah, it was a decade of just, 17 years I had my studio, and I would get intuitive hits about the yoga postures. And then there it was, like 20 years later. It took another couple of years after I came back from India and had sold my studio till my book and my cards came out. But what I was manifesting,
divine timing.
That's right.
When you call that divine timing.
And because I was manifesting global, I was manifesting to be more global, is what I wanted, to get a bigger reach, to make a bigger impact. And so that's how it showed up.
Goes back to what we started, isn't it? What is it you want? How do you want your money come? Where do you want your money come? And how do you want to impact the world? Do you want to impact it locally or globally? So what do you want? You got clarity on that. We kind of circle back to what we start our conversation with.
That's right.
Yeah.
Candace, a lot of people feel like manifestation, intuition is woo-woo. How do you address that?
That's funny, because I've lived this my whole life, right? Like, I started meditating at 12 years old, and, became vegetarian at 16. So I was always living yoga and living this way. I was taught it as a young child. So people don't really tell me that it's woo-woo very often, because it just is, right? Like, it just is. I had one person say to me one time, we were at a funeral, and he said, Candace, I'm starting to believe the stuff that you believe. And I said, it doesn't matter if you believe it or not, it's happening. Right? Like, so, so what do I tell people if they tell me it's woo-woo? I don't really get people telling me that, because I feel like I have I feel like one of my zones of genius, or my true purpose, is to simplify. I simplify yoga. I simplify spirituality. I simplify business, entrepreneurship. I have this ability to make it make sense to everybody, and to simplify it so people go, oh yeah, that makes sense to me. So I think that's how.
Georgianne, what would you say to people say, oh, that abundance and manifestation, that's not for me? What would you say?
I do get that more when I was a financial advisor, right? Because not all of my clients were in the woo-woo metaphysical space. But it is I had great thoughts when Candace was talking. But when I especially now, I'll just talk about now, with being a business money coach, the people that I attract, the people that I talk to, are the ones who are attracted to me because the universe is sending them my way, right? So those that don't like woo-woo, because woo-woo is not a bad thing, but if they don't like woo-woo, they don't come to see me, right? So
that's one way to not talk about it.
yeah, it's kind of, and like what Candace was saying, with her making things simple, I blend things, right? I blend the financial practical in with the universe and the magical and the spiritual, right? So that we have both worlds. Um, I just love that. Yeah. So I think the short answer is I don't attract those people anymore, right? Who don't like the woo woo.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm glad you said it because I also feel like, combining the best of all worlds, spiritual, woo woo, and tactical, practical things. I don't think it's only one thing because, first of all, to me, it's a daily practice that have to encompass all of it. You kind of need to know the practical steps where you want to take your life and your business. But at the same time, you do need to connect because if you're not connected, then you can be asking, what am I doing wrong? Why am I not manifesting? Have you ever got a call, anxious calls from your clients saying, I'm doing everything you said, but I'm still not getting results? Candace?
I haven't actually. Because I simplify
Nice.
it so much. And also I tell people you're not doing it wrong. There's no way you can meditate wrong. There's no way
Okay.
you can use gratitude wrong. There's no way like you're visualizing wrong. Like people think that they're doing things wrong and they're not. And there's no way you can tell me that super, super successful people who don't even talk about the spiritual realm at all, you can't tell me that they're not using their intuition, right? Like, that successful men and women in the world are 100% following their intuitive guidance. Like, even my parents, they sold their business and like a month later, the economy crashed, like they were following their intuition.
Wow.
Like, and you hear that all the time of people making these big investments or selling at the right moment, or, they talk about how things just worked out so perfectly for them. And I'm like, yeah, because you're following your intuition. So I feel like it's really, if people are like, I'm not woo woo, it's kind of really like, are you sure?
But we all are because we have our intuition. Is the problem becomes when we get that nudge and we're not following that intuition, then you get yourself in trouble because you don't trust yourself.
Because
But
which is
we
why
are connected.
which is why my book is called Intuition is a Choice, because sometimes we follow our intuition and sometimes we don't. And whenever we don't, we go,
I love it.
I knew that was going to happen.
Yeah, why didn't I not listen to myself? Why didn't I not trust? Because that's the higher power. Okay, so here's an important question. I'm glad you brought it up. Some people ask me, well, how do I know it's intuition or it's fear? How can you tell the difference? I get to hear that all the time.
Well, I feel like our intuition is going to take us out of our comfort zone. I feel like we know the difference of when we're following our intuitive hits and when there's fear. And what I do is I have people get really connected to the physical, because there's no separation between body, mind, and spirit. And so what are the physical reactions that you're having when you're getting an intuitive hit? Like I typically get a really itchy forehead, or I get the top of my head, or, I get a little buzzing in my ear. A lot of people, you get that gut instinct. And so one of the tricks I say that if you're not sure, so what happens too is then there's resistance that comes up. Whenever we get an intuitive hit, there's going to be resistance. So when I was talking about how I sold my yoga studio 6 weeks before I got the intuitive hit to sell my yoga studio, 6 weeks before I was leaving, the funny thing, and I'm using air quotes as funny thing is that I had rented the space for years, but that year I hadn't signed the contract. I hadn't signed the lease. And so right. And I had given her the post-dated checks for the year. And every time I saw her, she said, oh, I got to get you to sign that lease. And we laughed about it because here it was 6 months later.
Wow.
And so I phoned her up when I decided that I was going to, first of all, I was just going to let the studio go. And then I ended up selling it. But at first I was just going to let it go. So I called up the landlord and I said, I'm going to let the studio go. I'm going to give you 6 weeks notice and let the studio go. And I told her what was happening. And she said to me, she goes, oh, well, I'll give you a 1 month's rent for free. And I'm like, oh, okay. And so that was resistance, even though it was a good thing, right? Like we often think of resistance as a bad thing, but this actually showed up as a good thing. So then I got off the phone and I said it out loud. I said, I'm going to keep my yoga studio. I'm going to keep my yoga studio. And my gut went, no. And it was a contraction. My whole body went, no. And my gut went in. And then I said, I'm going to let the studio go. And it was a yes. It was a hell yes. And so this is a really good trick for anytime you're at a crossroads, anytime you're making a decision, just say it out loud as, one way and then the other way, and your body will let you know. Sometimes people feel it in their chest. Sometimes they feel it in their shoulders. Their shoulders go up to their ears like, no. So it's like a contraction. And then when it's a yes, it's a release. It's an opening. And so then I told her
What about you?
And said, no, I'm not. And then I ended up selling the studio and someone else took it over.
Cool.
Yeah.
So we know. Georgianne, how does for you showing up, knowing it's intuition? What any example from your life or your clients? How if they had to invest, for example, a lot of money, how would they know they're making the right choice? Maybe investing a lot of money in their coaching or marketing, whatever the case might be. How would they know it's the right choice?
Yeah, great question. And very similar to Candace, right? I myself have a knowing. And I also have a pendulum. So I talk to my guides all the time using a pendulum. And I ask if this is beneficial to me, or they say yes or they say no. But some of my clients and what I've helped other people with is, as Candace says, they feel it, right? And there's a few like body things you can do, I can't think of the terminology.
Energy.
Right. Whatever Candace just said.
What was it, Candace?
So it's energy testing. So you can say yes or no, and it'll, if your hands go through it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Or if you're standing up and if you lean in, it's a yes. If you lean back, it's a no. Right. When you ask yourself, so there is that, I think that guidance that we have, that if we choose, to listen to it, or we choose not to, knowing that, it may not work out the way that we had hoped, right? If we don't listen to our own intuition.
That's good. Excellent. We Candace brought up definition of success, and so I kind of want to ask, is your success right now the same what it was at the beginning of the journey, and how did it change, and what does success mean to both of you ladies? We want to start with Georgianne this time.
Sure. I love that. Oh my gosh. You have the best questions. I know I've said it a million times, but you just have the best questions.
And I say thank you every time.
Because it's good for me to think about, right? And it's also good for your audience, because it's not like you're just asking us, right? The audience can ask themselves that too. For me, and I've gone through so many different, I call them in a previous life, even though it's a previous life in this lifetime, right? That I've gone through so many different careers, different positions, different businesses, right? All of that my definition of success today is different than it was 6 months ago, right? Wow. Because
just pay attention, listeners, just 6 months ago. And that's fine. That's showing that you evolving and you growing, and it's fine. It could be different from a day ago. What if you had some download or whatever you want to call it, the new calling, the energy open up. I feel like it's so important to emphasize that what your success now, not what it was 6 months ago. Sorry for interrupting.
Yeah. No, it was all good. I appreciate the your comment on that, because for me, that's what I feel. And when I work with my clients too, I want them to recognize that we evolve, right? Our passions shift, our, as we get older, things change, our priorities change. And so
we get smarter, we don't get older.
Oh, yes, that's right. We get smarter. And for me, right, I've had this goal of having a book published, and now it's done, right?
Yay.
So now that's, yay, one level of success. Now what am I going to do? And
What's
I've always
next?
wanted
Wait,
to.
didn't the Candace say what's next?
Yeah, and I've wanted to. The book idea for me was about financial and for women, because that's when I was a financial advisor, right? So this book didn't end up to be that way. I didn't write about money at all in my chapter, which is surprising for me. But so that's that's another thing.
Next one.
But our success, as you said, Jenny, right? We all have different ideas for success. And I do truly believe that we evolve. It's natural for us to evolve, and it's natural for us to feel like, I don't know what I want, right? And then a month down the road or 3 months down the road, we'll get an insight, we'll get a download, we'll hear
is that
podcast,
something wrong with us when we don't know what we want?
No.
Okay.
It's all part of being human.
Thank you. It's so much gold. What you were just was saying, like, it's okay not really knowing that particular moment, is because I'm going back to Candace, because I've heard how you were talking about it. It's kind of a good flow to talk about phases. So sometimes you're in between your phases in life, and it's okay not knowing exactly what you want in that particular moment, and giving yourself grace and time to just be. But whatever that moment might be, maybe a day, maybe a month, we don't know. We will know how long it's going to be. But I feel like, and I'm guilty of that as much as I feel like the rest of the world, I grew up being independent. That's what I was raised. I have to achieve and do and all those external validation and achievement. But when you go from one phase of life to another, for whatever reason, you feel like you want to do bigger things, or you have loss, or a job, or a family member, whatever the case might be, you don't have to jump to that next level. You have to give yourself grace. And I feel like that's important thing to talk about it, because we feel that, something wrong with me. I'm anxious. I don't know what to do. I don't have clarity. But you don't have clarity at that particular moment. So I feel like Candace can guide us with what would be the best thing to do in that particular moment in between the phases of life.
Yeah. So I feel like we're in an ebb and flow. Like life is always, and especially our businesses as entrepreneurs. I call myself a soulpreneur, SOUL, not a solo, but a soulpreneur.
Love it. I love it.
Love it.
And so I just believe that we always have these ebbs and flows in life, in business, in our growth, in all of it. And when we're ebbing and flowing, that's when we're in the feminine energy, the divine feminine. And our society is so much about pushing ourselves in the masculine energy. And that's what creates burnout and stress and anxiety and depression and, burnout again, overwhelm, right? And so when we are going into that overwhelm, that's when we need to take that step back and slow down and allow ourselves to heal and to move in the feminine energy. I realized many years ago that I cannot do my business in the masculine energy of pushing myself. I'm very much about taking following my intuitive guidance, about, taking in intuitive action and divine action. It's not about pushing myself. When I have those slower days where my energy's depleted. I just got back from a retreat in Mexico that I was facilitating, and I was really tired for a couple.
Yay. Fun times.
Yeah, it was very fun. It was powerful for the participants. And so I came back and I was really depleted. And so, it was like double meditation day. And it's like, it's okay to give yourself that permission to go and, to meditate in the morning. I meditate in the morning already, but then to have the extra meditation in the afternoon and to rest. And that's when we connect to our creative energy. When we're in the overwhelm, we can't connect to our intuition, to source energy, to our creative energy. We need to move ourselves back into the powerful state Because when we're in the suffering state, then we can't connect to it. We need to move back into the powerful state. And my motto is,
wow, that's so powerful. Oh,
sorry.
What's your? That's so powerful. What's your motto?
My motto is, if it isn't fun, don't do it.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Mm-hmm, yeah. Georgianne, what would you recommend people when they're in between phases, feel sad, depressed, frustrated?
Yeah, I love the word that you use, Jenny, the grace. And that's a word that I use, right? Is to give yourself grace. Because believing as we believe, we don't know when divine timing is going to happen, right?
We don't. That's the beauty, isn't it?
And there's no point in beating ourselves up or telling ourselves that we're doing it wrong, or that we're not good enough, or that, that whole imposter syndrome thing. That's a whole nother podcast on that.
Oh yeah.
But it's really about giving yourself grace. I do a lot of like Candace, I don't meditate. I go on walks out in nature. So that's my way of getting out. And I also journal and do some automatic writing. And so when I'm stuck, as I was last week, and shoulding on myself, right? I should do this, I should do that, I should be here, I should be there, right? I'll sit in front of my fireplace and I'll start my automatic writing to, I call mine Dearest One. I don't do Dear God or Dear Universe. I do Dearest One. And then I just start writing what I'm frustrated about, or what I'm upset about, or why haven't I made X dollar amount, right? Money person here. And then I just let the words come out. And for any of you, if you do or have done automatic writing, you probably can recognize how I know when my guides and my soul is taking over, because my writing has changed. I'm using different words, and it's just magical that even if I don't receive an answer, just the fact that I know I'm being heard, I can feel my guides with me, and I know I'm still headed in the right direction, right? So that's kind of what I use to help me and my clients, right, to get out of the shooting on themselves, and trying to cut themselves down.
That helps them not judge themselves.
Yeah, zero judgment. I mean, there's like zero judgment in my life.
So that's been an amazing conversation. We brought up a lot of wisdom. I want to close with one of the important questions that listeners can take back with them. Like, what do you know now? One piece of advice, because both of you started your business from ground up and build it up. And I know there's, like you just mentioned, there's still days that you say, I should have done that, I should have done that. But what would be that one advice, maybe two, if that's what you want to do, that will save entrepreneurs or coaches or small business owners who starting now or feel stuck, that will save them time and energy? I kind of want to close with that question. Candace?
I got a lot were coming to me as you were asking me, but I feel like
however many advices you want to give, that's great.
So follow your gut, follow your intuitive guidance, follow that nudge that you have, and remember that your soul is here to shine. And don't dim your light for anybody. Don't dim your light because it makes other people uncomfortable. Keep shining your light as bright as possible. And I just can't reiterate that enough or explain that enough. Don't hide. Don't play small. Keep showing up. Keep the consistency by showing up and being you and sharing your message, because the world needs it now more than ever. The world needs your message.
It's so cool when you said that, don't dim your light, shine your light. I felt every word of that. It gave me that goosebump. I felt it. Thank you.
Awesome.
And I have a couple as well. And one of them is from Rumi, the poet from way long time ago. And I'm not going to be saying, I'll paraphrase. I'm just going to paraphrase. But it's in alignment with Candace talking about shining your light. Those that you are seeking you too. If you think about that, the clients, the people, customers, whatever term you want to use, the people that you can help, they're looking for you. And if you don't shine your light, and if you keep yourself small, then those people won't be able to shine their light, right? And then to piggyback on what we had talked about earlier on the receiving, recognize that you are worthy and deserving of receiving all that you desire. Everything, if it's a dream on your heart, you have full capability of doing it, of achieving that. So be a great giver and a great receiver.
So well said. Yeah, it's so important. And in closing, I would say, don't forget, your uniqueness is your superpower, and you got your gifts that you need to share with the world, and shine that light as bright as you can. I love it. So anything else you want to add? If Candace want to quickly say how people can reach you, and then we'll wrapping it up.
Okay, so you can find out about all my programs, my Manifestation Magic courses, on my website, CandaceMcKim.com. It's CandaceMcKim.com. Or you can email me at info@CandaceMcKim.com, as well as I'm available to connect with on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn.
And we'll have your links down in show notes.
Awesome.
And for you, Georgianne?
Thank you. Same for me. My website is georgiannemcconnell.com. I won't spell it because I know Jenny will put the links on there.
We will.
And it's really long. I am on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram as well. And looking forward to helping people shine their light in this beautiful world.
Thank you so much. It was such a pleasure. What an enlightening conversation. It was such a joy to create magic together. Okay, that's it for this powerful conversation. Remember, clarity, intuition, and the right mindset are the key to manifesting your desired life. If this episode resonates with you, leave a comment and tell us what you think. And don't forget to subscribe for more inspiring content. Keep shining, keep growing, and until next time,